Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We begin in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Today, by the grace of Allah, we've arrived in the 27th Juzʼ of the Qur'an. We are nearing the end. And as I said, we should always watch out for past papers, solved past papers, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala flashes them before us and showcases them. Here at the end, the very end of this Juzʼ 27 of the Qur'an, in Surah Al-Hadid, chapter 57, verse 27, we see another very critical and important past paper showcased before us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, speaking of messengers of the past and communities that formed around those messengers, He talks about ثُمَّ قَفَّيْنَا عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ بِرُسُولِنَا وَقَفَّيْنَا بِعِيسَى بْنِ مَرْيَمَ. We sent messengers after Nuh and Ibrahim, and then we sent Isa alayhi salam, and then Allah goes on to talk about the followers of Isa alayhi salam, and He highlights something that they did after him, which is وَرَهْبَانِيَّةً ابْتَدَعُوهَا مَا كَتَبْنَاهَا عَلَيْهِمْ إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ رِضْوَانِ اللَّهِ. Allah talks about the monastic way of life that they innovated. وَرَهْبَانِيَّةً ابْتَدَعُوهَا. Ibtada'a means to innovate, to come up with something original that doesn't have basis in pre-existing divinely revealed tradition. So monasticism was a way of life whereby you renounced everything. You renounced marriage because you felt it would pull you down and take you away from God. It would distract you. It would preoccupy you. Children would result from it, and they would distract your mind away from God. You would avoid having a career, a business. You would isolate yourself in the mountains, in the caves, and disconnect yourself completely from this world. This is obviously a departure from the responsibility Allah has placed on the human being. Throughout the Qur'an, you'll have noticed in your reading, Allah keeps on telling us that جَعَلَكُمْ خُلَفَاءَ. He has made us His representatives on this earth. He has given us a mission, and Islam's mission is fulfilled by us living in this world, not escaping to some utopia where we are not faced with the hustle bustle of life. But these religious followers of Prophet Isa alayhi salam, they thought they could come closer to God by detaching from this world. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's main critique against them is He says, you innovated a way of life, مَا كَتَبْنَاهَا عَلَيْهِمْ. We did not ordain it for you. We did not write it down for you. We did not reveal it in scripture. So you innovated this on your own, and you need to remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this relationship dictates what's going to bring us closer to Him, what's approved by Him, what's pleasing to Him, and what's not. We as human beings and as His servants don't get to dictate. We don't get to dominate this relationship and dictate its terms by determining and deciding for ourselves what will be most pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is an idea we find repeatedly emphasized in the prophetic sunnah and also in the teachings of the grand imams from the progeny of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We see Imam Abu Ja'far Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam reminding us that Wallahi la yutaqarrabu ila Allah illa bit-ta'a. He says nearness to Allah cannot be obtained. It's impossible to obtain except through obedience. And obedience can only happen in relation to a command. So whenever you want to do tawassul is the official term that we use to describe any activity that's supposed to bring you closer to Allah. Before you claim anything is tawassul, and before you do anything thinking it is tawassul, ask yourself, where is the command in the scripture? Did Allah authorize it? Did Allah sanction it? Because Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam is telling us, if Allah didn't order it, He's not going to reward it. He's not going to recognize it. So before you do anything, make sure you ask yourself, where is the order for this? Where is the prescription for this? I do not want to take any religious medication or prescription without authorization from the Creator and the Maker. And that's why when you come to the prophetic sunnah, we have a book here, A Bundle of Flowers, beautiful collection of sunan, narrations about the sunnah. You have a whole chapter here where you encounter stories, for example, on page 167 of companions of the Prophet who decided a normal life is not religious enough. So they imposed certain restrictions on themselves. For example, they stopped going to their wives, they stopped eating meat, they stopped sleeping at night. They did things like this. And when the Prophet ﷺ found out about this, he delivered a sermon in which, far from encouraging them, he reprimanded them. And he said, أَتَرْغَبُونَ عَنِ النِّسَاءِ. You're abandoning these things of the world. Inni atin nisa, look at me. Allah in the Quran has said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. The Prophet is the ultimate role model. The Prophet says, look, I believe in marriage and I practice marriage. And there are days when I don't fast. وَأَنَامُ اللَّيْلِ, and I also sleep for portions of the night. فَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. So whoever turns away from my way of life and what Allah has approved through me is not from us. He's not on this religion. And the last narration I'll share with you, truly beautiful, from Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, this grand scholar from the progeny of the Prophet. A woman approaches him and basically says, Aslahakallah, inni mutabattila. To make a long story short, she says, I want to become basically an Islamic version of a nun. I'll never marry, I'll never do anything that will distract me from God. And Imam alayhi salam responds by saying, Insarifi. He says, go away. فَلَوْ كَانَ فِي ذَلِكَ فَضْلٌ لَكَانَتْ فَاطِمَةُ سَلَامُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهَا أَحَقَّ بِهِ مِنْكِ. If there was any virtue in this, the women of the Prophet's household, like Fatima and his other women folk, would have preceded you. They would have beaten you to this. The fact that they didn't adopt this should show you that this has nothing to do with Islam. So may Allah give us the tawfiq to follow the way of life represented by our noble messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and those closest to him.